This is a walkthrough of the Edexcel November 2021 Paper 2 Higher Tier exam paper. Let's get started. Question 1. Write down the inequality shown on this number line. So we've got a circle at -1 and it's saying it's bigger than. So it's called x and it's bigger than -1. It's not or equal to. If it was or equal to, the dot would be coloured in. So it's not. So it's just x is bigger than -1. Part B, on the number line below, show the inequality that y is bigger or equal to -3 and less than 4. So the -3 is bigger or equal. So it can equal -3, so it's coloured in. It can't equal 4. So it's just a circle not coloured in. And we join those up with a straight line. And that is our inequality. Question 2. Find the highest common factor of 60 and 84. So let's write them as a product of their prime factors first. So 60 is 2 times 30, 2 is prime, 30 is 2 15s, and 2 is prime, and 15 is 3 times 5, and they are both prime. We can't break them down any further. So 60 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 5, and we can do the same for 84. 84 is 2 times 42. We can't break 2 down anymore, but 42 is 2 21s. 2 is prime, and 21 is 3 times 7. So 84 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. We could have done that on the calculator. If you pick up your calculator and type in 60 and then equals, and press shift this fact button, this yellow fact, so shift fact, and it writes it as a product of its prime factors for us. And we could have, of course, done the same with 84. But if it's a non-calculated paper, you wouldn't have that option. So we want the highest common factor. So what are the common prime factors? So what do they both have in them? 2 2s and a 3. They've both got 2 2s and a 3. And then 60 has also got 5. And 84 has also got 7. So the common prime factors are 2, 2 and 3. So the highest common factor is 2 times 2 times 3. And 2 times 2 times 3, well 4 times 3 is 12. So the highest common factor is 12. Part B, find the lowest common multiple of 24 and 40. So 24 as a product of its prime factors. So 24 as a product of its prime factors is 2 cubed times 3. So 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 40 as a product of its prime factors. So 40 shift fact is 2 cubed times 5. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. So if we've got a 24 circle and a 40 circle, what's in common? 2 times 2 times 2. So 2, 2 and 2 all go in the middle. They're in both 24 and 40. They're prime factors of both 24 and 40. There's also a 3 in the 24 circle and a 5 just in the 40 circle. So the lowest common multiple, that's all of these numbers multiplied together. So 3 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. So you could just type that in the calculator, but we also know that this 40 circle multiplies to make 40. So it's 40 times 3. So the lowest common multiple, 40 times 3, which will be 120. That's the same as 3 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Question 3. Sam drives his car on a journey. Here is the travel graph for the first 15 minutes of his journey. So we can see 15 minutes and he's gone 20 kilometers. Work out Sam's speed in kilometers per hour for the first 15 minutes of his journey. So he's gone 20 kilometers in 15 minutes. So we could use speed equals distance over time, but I think it'll be easier just to say times that by 4. So if he carried on going for an hour, how far would he have gone? So 24s are 80. So he would have gone 80 kilometers in 1 hour or 60 minutes. So that's 80 kilometers per hour. If we did use speed equals distance over time, so speed equals distance divided by time, the distance is 20, but the time, we can't use 15 because 15 is in minutes. So we'd have to change it to hours first. So 15 60ths, 15 minutes is the same as 1/4 or 0.25 hours. So it'd be 20 divided by 0.25. That is 80 as well. At 10:15, Sam stops for 10 minutes and then drives for 20 minutes at a speed of 75 kilometers per hour. On the grid, complete the travel graph. So he's going to stop for 10 minutes. Let's draw that on. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then 20 minutes at a speed of 75 kilometers per hour. So again, we could use speed equals distance over time. So speed is distance divided by time. We want to know the distance. This is the speed and the time. So distance is speed times time. And again, we can't use minutes. We need to use hours. So 20 minutes is how much of an hour? So 20 60ths is the same as 1/3. So it's 1/3 of an hour. 75 times 1/3 is 25. So it's 25. It's not minutes, that's distance. 25 kilometers in 20 minutes. So he goes 25 kilometers in 20 minutes. So 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes and 25 kilometers. So he's at 20, 25. So he's at 20, add on 25, that will take him to 45. So he's gone along 20 minutes and up 25 kilometers. 25 kilometers in 20 minutes. We could have also said, to work this one out, 20 minutes or even 75 kilometers in 1 hour, which is 60 minutes. So divide by 3, that's the same as 25 kilometers in 20 minutes. But either way, we should end up with this graph. Question 4. Complete the table of values for y equals x squared minus 2x plus 2. So we've got the table of values. We need to fill it in. We need to finish it. So we're going to use the calculator. And in the calculator, I'm going to change all of these x's into brackets. So I'm going to write brackets squared minus 2 brackets plus 2. And that will allow me to substitute my x values in to the brackets and find the y's. So I'm going to type bracket squared minus 2 brackets plus 2. And I can check that this is going to be correct. If I substitute in negative 2 for x, I should get out 10. So if I substitute negative 2 in, I should get 10 out, and I do. So let's look at negative 1. Substitute negative 1 in. When x is negative 1, y is 5. Then when x is 1, so I'm not going to do 0, that was already done for us. When x is 1, y is 1. When x is 2, y is 2. And we can see a pattern that's formed here. So we've got a symmetrical pattern. It's a quadratic graph. So an x squared is the highest power. That makes a symmetrical pattern. So we've got 1, and then 2, 2, 5, 5. It should be 10. When x is 4, y will be 10. I'll check that on the calculator, but it will be 10. So part B says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals x squared minus 2x plus 2 for values of x from negative 2 to 4. So we're going to plot these coordinates. Negative 2, 10. Negative 1, 5. Zero, 2, and then 1, 1. And then it was 2, 2, 3, 5, and 4, 10. Now we've plotted the coordinates, we need to join them up with a smooth curve. So not straight lines, not using the ruler, with a smooth curve to join these points. And there's a part C. Use your graph to find estimates of the solutions of the equation x squared minus 2x plus 2 is equal to 4. So we have drawn y equals x squared minus 2x plus 2. So we can see that y has been changed to 4. So we're looking at where y equals 4. So on our graph, where is y equal to 4? That's the line y equals 4. The whole way across, everywhere where y is equal to 4. So our solutions are here and here. So what is x at these points? You may get a slightly different answer to me. It's using your graph because my lines are a little bit wonky. Hopefully yours are smoother. We've got minus 0.8. I've got minus 0.8. I think minus 0.7 is okay as well. And I've got 2.7. I've got 2.7, and I think 2.8 would be okay as well, if that's what you got from your graph. Question 5. Here is a right-angled triangle. The shaded shape below is made from 2 of these triangles. And the question says, work out the perimeter of the shaded shape. So we need to know the length of the hypotenuse, the missing length. And we can do that using Pythagoras. So Pythagoras' theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The 2 short sides squared and added together equal the long side squared. So if I call this one x, 8 squared plus 10 squared equals x squared. And I'll use the calculator to work out 8 squared plus 10 squared, which is 164. So the long side squared is 164. So if I square root, I find its length. So I've got 12.8. So 12.8 millimeters. So that's the length of this hypotenuse here. So the perimeter, that's around the edge of the shape. So we know all of these lengths. We don't know this little bit here. So we don't know that little bit there, but it's the longest side. So a 12.8 take away a 10. So it's a 12.8 take away a 10. So the green bit is 12.8 take away 10, which is a 2.8. So it's a 2.8. So now we know all of the lengths around the edge. So to find the perimeter, we just add them together. So we have, I'll start with a 12.8 plus 2.8, and I'll work around clockwise. So 10, 8, and another 8. So 12.8, 2.8, 10, 8, and another 8 is 41.6. So I'll write my working out here. So it was 41.6 millimeters. Question 6. ABC is a right-angled triangle. We need to work out the length of BC. So I'll label that one X. So this time it's not Pythagoras because we don't have all 3 lengths in the question. We've got 2 lengths and an angle. So when we've got an angle in a right-angled triangle, we're using SOHCAHTOA, trigonometry SOHCAHTOA. So I'm going to start by labeling. So the longest side is called the hypotenuse. Opposite the angle, and the 56 is the angle we're using, opposite that angle is called the opposite, and in between the angle and the right angle is called the adjacent. We've got A, which is 12, and O, which is X in the question. We haven't got H, so it's not SO or KA, it must be TOA. And TOA means tan with the angle is equal to the opposite divided by the adjacent. So substituting in now, the angle is 56, so tan 56 is equal to X divided by 12. We're solving an equation. We want to get X by itself. At the moment, X is divided by 12, so we do the opposite, which is timesing by 12. So X is 12 times tan 56, and I'll just type that in the calculator. 12 times tan 56, or you can just write 12 tan 56, you don't have to write the times, and that's 17.8. So 17.8 centimeters. We've got another one. PQR is a right angle triangle. Work out the size of angle marked X. So again, it's a SOHCAHTOA question. We've got an angle and 2 lengths in the question for a right angle triangle, so it must be SOHCAHTOA. The hypotenuse is the longest side. Opposite is called the opposite, and the adjacent's in between the angle and the right angle. We're not using O this time, so it's not SO, it is KA, it's not TOA. KA means cos with the angle is the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. So the angle's X, so cos X is 15 divided by 18. We need to solve the equation. We want x by itself. So we do the opposite of cos, and the opposite of cos is the shift cos. To get rid of cos, we shift cos. So x is shift cos, cos minus 1, arc cos, 15/18. And we'll just type that in the calculator. So shift then cos, 15/18. And we get an answer of 33.6 degrees. Question 7. Liquid A has a density of 1.8 grams per centimeter cubed. Liquid B has a density of 1.2 grams per centimeter cubed. 800 centimeter cubed of liquid A is mixed with 400 centimeter cubed of liquid B to make 120 centimeter cubed of liquid C. Work out the density of liquid C. So we're mixing two liquids together to make another one. So we're going to use the total, so density of the overall liquid. Density is going to be the total mass divided by the total volume. So we're going to need the mass of A and the mass of B, and the volume of A and the volume of B, which we've already got, to find the density of C. So we need to work out the mass of each of A and B. So for A, so we can use density as mass over volume. So mass is density times volume. So for A, it's got a density of 1.8 and a volume of 80. So 1.8 times 80 is 144. So it's got a mass of 144 grams. And for B, density is 1.2. Volume is 40. So it's got a mass of 1.2 times 40, which is 48 grams. So the density of C will be the total mass divided by the total volume. So the total mass is 144 plus 48. And the total volume is 80 plus 40, which is 120. 120. So the density is, if we just type this in, 144 plus 48 divided by 120, and that is 1.6. So 1.6 grams per centimeter cubed. Question 8. The grouped frequency table gives information about the time in minutes taken by 50 people to solve a puzzle. Brian was asked to draw a cumulative frequency table for this information. This is what he drew. Write down one thing that's wrong with it. So for cumulative frequency, we add up as we go along. So we start with 5, and then we add on 8 to get 13, and then we add on 12 to get 25. And he's done that. He's added up as he's gone along, and he's done it correctly. He ends up with 50 at the bottom. But what he hasn't done, he hasn't changed his groups. So the 13 should be from 0 to 20. It is all of these people and all of these people. So the 0 to 10 group and the 10 to 20 group. So that makes it a 0 to 20 group. Then the next group should be 0 to 30 and 0 to 40 and 0 to 50 and 0 to 60. So what's wrong with his cumulative frequency table? The groups should all start at 0. Question 9. The box plot shows information about the length of time in minutes some people waited to see a doctor at a hospital on Monday. And part 8 is work out the interquartile range. So the interquartile range is the difference between the lower quartile and the upper quartile. So on a box plot, this is the lowest value. This is the highest value. So the lowest wait time was 20 minutes. The highest wait time was 200 minutes. The median is the middle number. And then these two lines are the lower quartile and the upper quartile. So a median is half the data, so half the people on each side. The lower quartile is a quarter of the way through the data. So a quarter on one side and 3/4 on the other. And the upper quartile, again, has 1/4 on one side and 3/4 on the other. So the interquartile range is the upper quartile, take away the lower quartile. So the upper quartile is, so 10 little boxes are worth 40. So 40 divided by 10 is 4. So each little box is worth 4. So halfway between 160 and 200, that's 180, 184, 188. So the upper quartile is 188. The lower quartile is exactly halfway between 40 and 60, so it must be at 50. So the interquartile range is 188, take away 50, which is 138 minutes. Becky says 50% of the people waited for at least 2 hours. Is Becky correct? So the median is 120, which is 2 hours. So that means 50% waited more. So yes, Becky is correct because the median is 120 minutes, which is 2 hours. The table gives information about the length of time in minutes some people waited to see a doctor at the same hospital on Tuesday. So we've changed from Monday to Tuesday. And Becky was asked to compare the distribution of lengths of times waited on Monday and Tuesday. She wrote people had to wait longer on Tuesday than Monday. Give one reason why she may be wrong. So, well, the median is 100 minutes. The middle time was 100 minutes on Tuesday. It was 120 minutes on Monday. So the median time was longer on Monday. Question 10. Louise invests X pounds in better investments for 3 years. Sadiq invests X pounds in County Bank for 3 years. So better investments and County Bank have got their interest rates shown. At the end of the 3 years, the value of Louise's investment is £344,605. Work out the value of Sadiq's investment. So we're going to use Louise's one to find X, and then to find out how much they invested, and then we can work out Sadiq's one. So better investments, Louise's bank gives her 2.5% compound interest a year. So each year she'll get 100% plus 2.5%, which is 102.5%. So X is what she starts with, times 1.025. That's 102.5% written as a decimal. For 3 years, so the power of 3. And that equals 344,605. So to get x by itself, we can divide by 1.025 cubed. So x will be 344,605 divided by 1.025 cubed. So let's work that one out. 344,605 pounds divided by 1.025 cubed, and that is 320,000 exactly. So 320,000 pounds. That's X. That's how much they both started with. So now we can move on to Sadiq's investment. So Sadiq started with 320,000 pounds. He got 2% per annum for the first 2 years. So times 1.02 for 2 years, and then 3.5% for the extra year. So 1.035 for 1 year, so just once. So let's type that in the calculator and see how much Sadiq has at the end. So £344,580 and 48p. So that is our answer. Question 11. Here is a sketch of the line L. The points -6, 0 and 0, 3 are points on the line L. The point R is such that PQR is a straight line, and PQ to QR is 2 to 3. Find the coordinates of R. So we could say that P to Q is right 6, up 3. So P to Q is 6, 3. To the right 6 and up 3. So P to Q and Q to R are in the ratio 2 to 3. So it's 2 to 3, P to Q and then Q to R. And P to Q is 6, 3. So, well, we could work out what one part is by halving P to Q. So if I half P to Q, I get 3 1.5. So that's one part. And then if I times that by 3, I'll get 3 parts. So 3 3s are 9, 3 1.5s are 4.5. So I want to go right 9, up 4.5. So right 9, up 4.5. So 0 add 9 is 9. So the x will be 9. And 3 add 4.5 will make 7.5. So that'll be 9, 7.5. Part B, find an equation of the line perpendicular to L that passes through Q. So we need to know the gradient of L. So we know it goes through -6, 0 and 0, 3. So I'll say the gradient is the change in the y divided by the change in the x. So we can call these x1, y1 and x2, y2. So y2 take away y1, 3 take away nothing, divided by x2, which is 0, take away x1, which is negative 6. So 3 take away nothing is 3. 0 take away negative 6. When we take away a negative, we add. So 3/6 or 1/2. There was probably a quicker way of doing that. So if we go along 6, up 3, we can just say, well, it's the 3 divided by 6, so the change in y divided by the change in x. And we can say for every 1 it goes across, it has to go up half. Every 1 across, up half. Across 1, up half. Across 1, up half. So the gradient is 1/2. So the change in the y divided by the change in the x. 3 divided by 6 is 1/2. For a perpendicular gradient, we want the negative reciprocal of the gradient. So flip a minus. So the perpendicular gradient, so 1/2 flipped over is 2/1, or just 2. And the negative reciprocal will make it a negative 2. So any line perpendicular to L is going to have a gradient of negative 2. In order for it to meet at a right angle, the gradient has to be in negative 2. For every 1 it goes across, it goes down 2. And we want to write down the equation. So that's in the form y equals mx plus c. So we know m is negative 2, and it goes through q, which is going to be its y-intercept, which is at 3. So it's going to cross the y-axis at 3. So it's y equals negative 2x plus 3. Question 12, expand and simplify. So we've got triple brackets. We're going to expand and simplify by expanding 2 of the brackets and then leaving 1 to start with. So we're just going to expand the first 2 and leave the last one as it is. So x times 3x, 3x squared. X times 2 is 2x. Negative 2 times 3x is negative 6x. And negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. And that is still multiplied by the second bracket. I can simplify my first bracket before I expand again. So I've got 2x take away 6x. 2 take away 6 is minus 4, negative 4. So now I can expand again. So I'm going to multiply each of the terms in the first bracket by both of the terms in the second bracket. So I'll end up with 6 terms here. So 3x squared times them both, minus 4x times them both, and then minus 4 times them both. So 3x squared times 2x, 3 2s are 6, x squared times x is x cubed. 3x squared times 3 will be 9x squareds, minus a negative times a positive is negative, 4x times 2x, 4 2s are 8, x times x is x squared. A negative times positive is negative, 4x times 3 is 12x, and then negative 4 times them both, so negative times a positive is negative, 4 times 2x is 8x, and negative again, 4 3s are 12. So now we can add up our x squared terms and our x terms to give us our final answer. So we're going to have 6x cubed. We've got 9x squareds take away 8x squareds, which is just 1x squared. Minus 12x take away another 8x. We'll go to minus 20x. And we've got a minus 12 on the end. Question 13. In a school, there are 16 teachers and 220 students. Of these students, 120 are girls and 100 are boys. One teacher, one girl, and one boy are going to be chosen to represent the school. Work out the number of different ways to choose one teacher, one girl, and one boy. So 16 teachers, 120 girls, and 100 boys. So 16 times 120 times 100. So this is a product rule for counting question, and the answer is 192,000. Question 14. We have A, B, C, and D, 4 points on a circle. S, B, T is a tangent to the circle, and angle ABD is 20 degrees. The size of angle BAD to the size of angle BCD is 3 to 1. That's useful because they are opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral, which means they add up to 180 degrees. Find the size of angle SBA, this angle here. You must show you're working. So let's start by finding these two angles. We have, so opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral add to 180 degrees. So we've got the ratio 3 to 1, so that's 4 parts. So each part must be 45. So we've got 3 45s, which will be 135, and 1 45, which is 45. So we know we've got 45 degrees for BCD and 135 for BAD. We could now use angles in a, well, we don't even have to. We could use the alternate segment theorem. So we've got a triangle in a circle that meets a tangent. So this red angle here, so SBD, so this whole angle here, SBD, is the same as 45 degrees. So I can say SBD equals 45 degrees because of the alternate segment theorem. So angle X is 45 take away 20. So SBA is 45 take away 20, which is 25 degrees. Question 15, here is a triangle, ABC. Find the length of BC. So it's not a right angle triangle, so we're not going to use Pythagoras or SOHCAHTOA. It's a cosine rule question. So sine rule is when we have opposites. We've only got one angle involved in this question. We've got two lengths and an angle between them. So it's a cosine rule question. So cos A, no, we're not finding an angle, we're finding a length. A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos A. So big A is going to be our angle. The thing with the cos, the big A is the angle. Opposite big A is little a, and the other two in either order, either way round, are B and C. So find the length of BC. So let's just substitute in. So x squared equals 8 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 8 times 11 cos 72. And we'll just type that in the calculator, everything to the right of the equal sign, and that will give us x squared. And then we'll just square root that for the answer. So I'm just substituting in, type it into the calculator. So I've got 130.6, square root that, which is 11.4. So x squared was 130.6. I then square rooted it for 11.4 centimeters. Find the area of triangle ABC. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. So the area of any triangle can be found using half AB sine C. So I'm going to relabel it. I'm not going to use these labels I had before, because this time the angle is big C. So this is C. Opposite C will be little c. The other two are A and B in any order. So it's half times 8 times 11 sine 72. So we'll just type that into the calculator, and that will give us the area. Which is 41.8. So 41.8 centimeters squared. Question 16. Use the iteration formula. So the next term, xn plus 1, is the cube root of 10 minus 2 times the previous term. So that's the iteration formula to find the values of x1, x2, and x3, and start with x0 equals 2. So we're going to substitute 2 in first to find x1. So x1 is the cube root of 10 take away 2 times x0, which is 2. So I'm going to press 2 and then equals to start with, so I can use my A and S button. So I want the cube root of 10 minus 2 times my answer, which was 2. I'm going to press equals, and I get my x1, which is 1.8171, and so on. 1.8171, and so on. So now for x2, I'm going to do the cube root of 10 minus 2 times my previous answer. For x2, we substitute x1 into here. For x3, we substitute x2 in for here. So we always use our previous answer to find the next one. But I already have the answer button, so this answer button is going to pick up this answer this time. So all I have to do is press equals again. So I've got 1.8533, and so on. 1.8533, and so on. And for x3, 1.8462, and so on. The values of x1, x2, and x3 found in part A are estimates of the solution of an equation of the form x cubed equals ax plus b equals 0, where a and b are integers. Find the value of a and b. So we had x. So if we just change these m plus 1s and n just to normal x's and then rearrange. So x is the cube root of 10 minus 2x. So we had x is the cube root of 10 minus 2x. So if we cube both sides to get rid of a cube root, we'll get x cubed is 10 minus 2x, and then add 2x to both sides, and then take away 10 from both sides, we get x cubed plus 2x minus 10 equals 0. So what is a and what is b? So it's x cubed plus ax, so that's 2x, plus b, which is negative 10. Question 17. Some people took part in the first round of a competition. The histogram gives information about the scores of these people in the first round. So we've got a histogram. 20% of the people got a score high enough for them to qualify for the second round. Work out an estimate for the score needed to qualify for the second round. So we're going to work out how many people there are. So to find the frequency, we're going to find the area of each bar. So on a histogram, the frequency is the area. So we've got 5 times 0.8 for the first bar. 5 times 0.8 is 4. 10 times 1.6 is 16. 10 times 2.2 is 22. And we've got 15 as the base and 1.2 as the height. So 15 times 1.2 is 18. So how many people do we have? 4 plus 16. Let's just write this down. So 4 plus 16 plus 22 plus 18. So 4 and 16 make 20. 22 and 18 make 40. So that's 60 people. 20% of them got a score high enough to qualify. So 20% of 60. So 0.2 times 60, that's 12 people. Remember, you can always use the calculator at any stage. So 12 people. So where are 12 people on here? How can I find, so the highest scoring 12 people? So it must be in this last group. And if we split it evenly, so 18 to find 12, 12 is 2/3 of 18. So 12 over 18 is equal to 2/3. So I want 2/3 of this group. So if I split it into 3 parts, so straight down, and I want 2 of those 3 parts. So each 5 is 1 part. So I want 2 of them. So I can say there's 6 on this side and 12 on this side. What I could have also said is I want the area to be 12. So the height is 1.2. 1.2 times the width is 12. So 12 divided by 1.2, the width is 10. So go back 10, 30 to 40 has got a width of 10. So it's 30. 30 is our answer. So an estimate for the score needed, 30. Question 18. Here is a graph of y equals sine x for 0 to 360. Using this graph, find estimates for all 4 solutions of sine x equals 0.6 from 0 to 720. So where is sine x equal to 0.6? So go to 0.6, draw a line, so that is where it's equal to 0.6. So somewhere around there. So it is just an estimate. They don't seem to be coming exactly on the line. So we've got 90 degrees as 15 squares. So each little square must be a 6. So 90, I'll write that down. So 90 divided by 15 is 6. So each little square is a 6. So we're 30, 36, maybe we could quit 40 degrees. Quit 40 degrees. And then, so we've got 90, 120, 126, 132, 140, we'll call it 140 on the other side. So something near 40 and 140. And we want 2 more answers, or 4 solutions. And this graph just repeats every 360 degrees. So we're going to get the exact same graph for the next 360 degrees as well. So if we just add 360 onto these answers, so 40 plus 360 is 400. 140 plus 360 is 500. So there are our answers. I'm just going to solve this on a calculator. So I'm going to shift sign 0.6 and see what we should have got. So it's come out as 36.8, so 37. So something in that area. So if you got 38, it'd be 38 and 142. And then it will be 398 and 502. So something around there for our answers. The graph of y equals sine x is reflected in the x-axis. Write down an equation of the reflected graph. So reflected in the x-axis is going to mean it's now looking like this. So what's the equation of that graph? So when we have a transformation that changes all the positive y's to negative and all the negative y's to positive, we call that minus f of x. So it's the same equation but made negative. So what's the equation of this line now? It's y equals minus sine x. And part C, so here is the graph of y equals f of x. On the grid, draw the graph of y equals f of x minus 2. So when we've got inside the bracket, we change the x and we do the opposite to what it says. So it's saying minus 2, so we're going to add 2 to all of the x values. So it's going to shift 2 to the right. So this point will move 2 to the right. This point will move 2 to the right. This point 2 to the right. And this point 2 to the right. So everything, the whole graph, is going to shift 2 places to the right. So it will move to there. Question 19. A, B, and C are three spheres. The volume of sphere A is 125 centimeters cubed. The volume of sphere B is 27 centimeters cubed. The ratio of the radius of sphere B to the radius of sphere C is 1 to 2. Work out the ratio of the surface area of sphere A to the surface area of sphere C. So this is a scale factor question. So scale factor for volume is scale factor cubed. So for A and B, for volume, we've got 125 to 27. To find the scale factor for length, we need to cube root. So cube root 125 and cube root 27. So that means the scale factor for length for A to B is 5 to 3. So scale factor for volume is cubed, scale factor cubed. So to go from volume to length, cube root. So we know the scale factor for length of B to C. Scale factor for length, so the radius is a length, and that's 1 to 2. So if I want a ratio to join these together, I need to make the B's the same. And I can do that by timesing this ratio by 3. So timesing this by 3 will give me 3 to 6. So now I've got a scale factor for length for A to B to C. So A is 5 parts, B is 3 parts, and C is 6 parts. So that's scale factor for length. If I want area, which I do, the scale factor for area is scale factor squared. So if I square these numbers, 5 squared is 25, 3 squared is 9, 6 squared is 36. I've got 25 to 9 to 36. And I only want A to C, so it's 25 to 36. So A to C, 25 to 36. Question 20. In a village, if it rains on one day, the probability that it will rain on the next day is 0.8. If it does not rain on one day, the probability it will rain the next day is 0.6. A weather forecaster says there is a 70% chance it will rain on Monday. Work out an estimate for the probability that it will rain on Wednesday. So we've got Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm going to draw a tree diagram. It might end up being a bit complicated because it's got 3 bits, but we'll go for it. So we've got Monday, and it can rain or it could not rain. I'll do R with a dash for not rain. So 70% it will rain on Monday, 30% it won't rain. And then we go on to Tuesday. So if it rains, the probability it rains the next day is 0.8. So if it rained on Monday, the chance it rains on Tuesday is 0.8. That means if it doesn't rain, the chance of not raining must be 0.2. And then if it didn't rain on Monday, if it doesn't rain one day, the chance it rains the next day is 0.6, which means the chance of not raining is 0.4. And then on to Wednesday. So if it rained, which is either of these two, if it rained, the chance of raining again is 0.8. The chance of not raining, 0.2. So raining, 0.8. Not raining, 0.2. And then if it didn't rain, which is here and here, so if it didn't rain on Tuesday, the chance of rain is 0.6, not rain 0.4, rain 0.6, and not rain 0.4. So what is the chance that it rains on Wednesday? So we've got this one, this one, this one, and this one. So rain, 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 0.7 times 0.8 times 0.8. So rain, rain, rain is 56 over 125, or 0.448. Okay, 0.448. So 0.448. We've got rain, not rain, rain. So 0.7 times 0.2 times 0.6. Rain, not rain, rain. 0.7 times 0.2 times 0.6 is 0.084. Then we have not rain, rain, rain. So 0.3, 0.6, 0.8. So not rain, then rain, then rain again. So 0.3, 0.6, 0.8. Which is 0.144. And finally, we have not rain, rain. So 0.3 times 0.4 times 0.6. Which is 0.072. So the total chance for it raining on Wednesday will be all of these added together. So 0.072 plus 0.144 plus 0.084 plus 0.448. And so I've got 187 over 250, or 0.748. I've been using decimals the whole way, so I'll stick 0.748. Question 21. The time period t seconds of a simple pendulum of length L centimeters is given by the formula t equals 2 pi times the square root of L over G. KT uses a simple pendulum in an experiment to find an estimate for the value of G. Here are her results. So we've got L to 3 significant figures, T to 3 significant figures. So it's going to be a bounds question. Work out the upper bound and the lower bound for the value of G. Use pi as 3.142. So we're working out G, and we're going to use the bounds of L and T to do so. So let's start. We need to rearrange the formula, and we need to find the bounds. For L, we've got 52.0. So the one up is 52.1. The one down is 51.9. So the upper bound is 52.05. The lower bound is 51.95. For T, we've got 1.45. The one up is 1.46. The one down is 1.44. So lower bound 1.445 and upper bound 1.455. we're going to have to rearrange it before we can substitute in. So we've got t equals 2 pi times the square root of L over G. I think the best way to start would be divide both sides by 2 pi. So t divided by 2 pi equals the square root of L over G. And then we want to get rid of the square root. So to get rid of a square root, we're going to square both sides. So let's square the top and square the bottom. So t squared over 2 pi times 2 pi, which would be 4 pi squared, and that's L over G. So then times both sides by G, and times both sides by 4 pi squared. So G times t squared equals 4 pi squared times L. And then we'll get G by itself by dividing by t squared. So if we want the upper bound for G, we want to do upper L divided by lower t. So to get a bigger answer, we divide by a smaller number. So it's going to be 4 pi squared times the upper L, 52.05, divided by the lower t, 1.445 squared. And for the lower G, we want 4 pi squared times the lower L, 51.95, divided by the upper t squared, 1.455 squared. So then let's just type these in the calculator. So upper G is 4 times pi, which we were using as 3.142. So 3.142 squared times 52.05 divided by 1.445 squared. So 4 pi squared times 52.05 over 1.445 squared. So 984.36778. 984.367.853. And for the lower G, we're changing our 52.05 into 51.95, and we're changing 1.445 into 1.455. So that's 969.018 1643. So there are our upper and lower bounds.